This is how to go from I can't be trusted around food to I trust myself completely, even with cookies in the house. I used to be the person who couldn't have cookies in the house, or chips, or ice cream, or really any food I considered dangerous. Because if it was there, I would eat it. All of it. Usually in one sitting. I genuinely believed I couldn't be trusted around certain foods. I thought I was broken, that I just needed more control. But what I really needed was a completely different approach. And if you've ever hidden food, eaten in secret, or felt completely out of control around food, especially specific foods, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hi, I'm Sarah, a certified holistic health coach who specializes in helping women heal their relationship with food. And as someone who spent over a decade believing I was addicted to food, I know how hopeless it can feel when you can't trust yourself around something as basic as food. But the reason you can't trust yourself around food isn't because you lack willpower or discipline. It is because you've been taught not to trust yourself. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why you lost trust with food in the first place, the science behind why restriction creates obsession, and a step-by-step process to rebuild that trust, even with your most dangerous foods. But first, let me explain why you can't willpower your way back into food trust. Why you lost trust with food. Here's the truth about food trust. You weren't born afraid of food. Think about it. As a baby, you ate when you were hungry and you stopped when you were full. You didn't obsess about food or feel guilty about eating. You trusted your body completely. Diet culture taught you not to trust yourself. Somewhere along the way, you learned that your body signals couldn't be trusted. You were told to ignore your hunger, override fullness, and follow external rules instead of internal wisdom. Don't eat after 6 p.m., avoid carbs, only eat when it's mealtime, only when it's clean. Slowly you stopped listening to your body and started listening to rule. Restriction creates obsession. When you label foods as bad or off limits, your brain becomes fixated on them. It's basic psychology. The more you try to not think about something, the more you think about it. This is why you can go all day eating perfectly and then binge on the exact foods you were avoiding. Then the scarcity mindset kicks in. When foods are forbidden, your brain perceives scarcity. So when you do encounter these foods, your brain says, eat as much as you can now because who knows when I'll have it again. This isn't lack of control or discipline. It's your brain trying to protect you from perceived famine. Then shame reinforces the cycle. Every time you lose control around food, you feel ashamed. This shame makes you create more rules and restriction, which leads then to more obsession and more out of control moments. It's a vicious cycle that has nothing to do with your character or your discipline, your willpower. You didn't lose the ability to trust yourself around food. You were systematically taught to distrust your body's wisdom. And the good news here, anything that was learned can be unlearned. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain. Your brain has a built-in regulation system. You were born with something called the interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense what's happening inside your body. This includes hunger, fullness, satisfaction, and what foods make you feel good or even bad. And when the system is working, you would naturally eat when you need and stop when you've had enough. Restriction disrupts this exact system. When you follow external food rules instead of internal cues, you literally lose the ability to hear your body's signals. It's like turning down the volume on your body's wisdom. Over time, these signals get quieter and quieter until you can barely hear them. Now let me talk about something called the forbidden fruit effect. Research shows that when foods are restricted, they become more appealing and harder to resist. This isn't a character flaw, it's neuroscience. Your brain releases more dopamine when you think about forbidden foods than it does for allowed foods. When foods are freely available, you have unconditional permission to eat them. They lose their power over you. This process is called habituation. The more you expose yourself to have something, the less exciting it becomes. Trust is rebuilt through experience, so you can't think your way back to food trust. You have to experience being trustworthy around food over and over again. Each positive experience builds evidence that you can in fact trust yourself. Let's look at some situations that might feel familiar. Number 1, the office birthday cake. You tell yourself you won't have any of it because you're being good. But you think about it all day, you walk by it multiple times. Finally at 4 p.m. you cut yourself a piece, then another, and then you finish the day feeling guilty and promising to start fresh tomorrow. Another example would be the grocery store trigger. So you're shopping and see your favorite cookies on sale. You have an internal battle. Should I buy them? Should I not? But they're on sale. No, I can't be trusted. So there's this internal battle. So you either avoid them or you buy them and eat the whole package in the car. Lastly, the social eating anxiety. So you're going to dinner with friends. You spend the whole day planning what you will order. You tell yourself you will be good. But when you get there, you feel out of control. You either restrict and feel deprived, or you overeat and feel guilty. So what all these scenarios have in common, the problem isn't the food, it's the restriction and the rules around the food. When you give yourself unconditional permission to eat, the obsession starts to fade. When you trust yourself, you naturally make choices that feel good in your body. So here's the step-by-step process to rebuild that trust in food. Phase number 1, mechanical eating. So let's say week 1 and 2. Eat regularly throughout the day. Aim for 3 meals and 2 or 3 snacks, regardless of your hunger cues. Your hunger and fullness signals might be disconnected right now, so we are rebuilding trust by offering your body consistent care. Then include all macronutrients, so make sure that each meal has proteins, carbs, and fat. This helps stabilize your blood sugar and reduces cravings. So think eggs with avocado on toast, or a rice bowl with some chicken and tahini. Just whatever foods that include those nutrients and satisfy you on all levels, meaning your blood sugar, your mood, and your taste. Then, no food rule. Temporarily suspend all food rules. No good or bad foods, no time restrictions, no portion limits, no measuring. This feels scary, I know, like I've lived it, but it is necessary to break the restriction binge cycle, and it's how we unhook your worth from control. Then moving on to phase 2, permission and exposure. So let's say week 3 until 6, give yourself unconditional permission. Choose one forbidden food and give yourself complete permission to eat it whenever you want. Buy it, keep it in your house, and eat it without guilt. Practice getting used to it. The more you're exposed to a food, the less grip it has on you. So eat this food in different contexts, alone, with meals, without drama. An example, instead of secretly binging on ice cream at night, have a small bowl after lunch. Do this daily, not as a test, but as a retraining of trust. The goal is to make it so available that it becomes boring. And then notice without judgment. Pay attention to how different food makes you feel, physically, emotionally, energetically. But don't use this information to create new rules, just observe. So, like, interesting, pizza makes me feel sluggish, or oatmeal keeps me actually satisfied for hours. Phase 3, attunement, so week 7 until 12. Start listening for hunger and fullness. As you eat regularly and remove restrictions, your body feels safer and your hunger and fullness cues start to return. So use a gentle hunger scale to rate your hunger levels from 1 to 10 before, during, and after meals. And a little reminder, you might realize that you're at a 3 and you still reach for snacks out of stress and not for hunger. And first of all, it's completely normal, and it's also a win and not a failure, because you notice that you did that. You notice you ate out of stress and not hunger by realizing that your hunger levels were actually as low as a 3. And really, awareness is healing. Awareness is the first step. Then eat for satisfaction. Ask yourself, what would be satisfying right now? And honor that answer. Sometimes, it's a salad. Sometimes it's pizza. Both are valid choices. And really important, trust the process. There will be days when you eat more than your body needs. You will question it, but know that this is normal and part of the learning and healing process. You're not going backwards, you're gathering evidence. Every time you respond with curiosity instead of control, you're building the food trust muscle, meaning your body is learning to trust that food will always be available and it will lose its power over you. Then phase number 4, integration. So that is actually ongoing. Make peace with imperfection. You don't need to eat perfectly to trust yourself around food. Trust means knowing that you can handle any food situation with self-compassion. It means knowing, I didn't eat the perfect lunch, but I'm still safe and I don't need to spiral. Focus on overall patterns and not individual meals. One meal or one day doesn't define your relationship with food. Look at patterns over weeks and months and not hours and days. Imagine tracking your mood, energy, and cravings over 30 days and not calories. These are the metrics that actually matter. Then celebrate small wins. Notice when you stop eating because you're satisfied, not because you should. Celebrate when you eat something without guilt. Like when you choose a satisfying lunch, skip the guilt spiral and stop when you are full. Acknowledge when you choose foods that make you feel good. When you trust yourself around food, you can keep any foods in your house. Cookies, chips, ice cream, they're just food and not any danger to your willpower. You eat when you're hungry and you're satisfied, not because you're following rules, but because it feels good in your body. You don't think about food constantly. Food becomes background noise instead of the main character in your mental drama. You can eat socially, you can eat out without anxiety. You don't need to see the menu ahead of time or plan your whole day around one meal. You make choices based on how you want to feel. Sometimes you choose the salad because you want to feel energized, but sometimes you choose the pizza because you want comfort and satisfaction. Both of those choices come from self-care and not self-control. You handle imperfect eating with self-compassion, so when you eat more than your body needs, you don't spiral into shame and trigger a binge. Instead, you get curious about what happened and move on. Now comes the part where I normally give you some sort of step-by-step action plan, but as we pretty much covered this already, I'd like to give you some tips on navigating challenges. So as you go through the trust rebuilding phases, here's how to handle common obstacles. So one would be, what if I eat the whole package? This is normal, especially in the beginning. Your brain is testing whether the food is really freely available. So don't restrict the next day. This just reinforces the scarcity mindset. Instead, buy more of that food and keep it available. Or another one would be, I'm gaining weight and I'm scared. And this is valid because some people gain weight initially as their body learns to trust that food is available, but this is often temporarily as your body finds its natural set points and as your binge attacks decrease. Focus on how you feel, so more energy, less obsession, better mood, rather than the scale. I don't feel hungry or full anymore. Years of restriction can numb these signals, but they will return. Keep eating regularly, even without clear cues. Your body needs consistent nourishment to repair the signals. Another one would be, I feel guilty eating unhealthy foods. Guilt is a learned response that will fade with practice. Remind yourself there are no good or bad foods, only foods that serve different purposes. Practice eating without moral judgment. Another one would be, what if I never want vegetables again? This fear is actually common but unfounded. When you remove the pressure to eat healthy, you often naturally crave variety. Trust that your body wants to feel good and will guide you towards nourishing foods naturally. Then how do I know if I'm making progress? Well, progress isn't linear, and it isn't always about eating less. Signs of progress include thinking about food less often, feeling calmer around previously scary foods, eating without guilt more often, trusting your body's signals more, having more mental space for other things. And remember, this is a practice and not about perfection. Some days will feel like you're stepping backward. This is normal. Healing isn't linear and setbacks are part of the process. Be patient with yourself and trust that each experience is building your food trust muscle. So if you've been living in fear of certain foods, if you've been convinced you can't trust yourself around food, if you're tired of the restrict binge cycle, controlling your life, please know you are not broken, you're not lacking discipline or willpower, and you're not addicted to food. You've just been taught not to trust the wisdom you were born with, and that trust can be rebuilt. It takes time, patience, and a lot of self-compassion. But on the other side of this work is the freedom you might have forgotten was possible. The freedom to eat without guilt, to keep any food in your house, to trust that your body knows what it needs. But here's the thing, everyone's relationship with food is different, and everyone's path to healing looks different too. Because real healing doesn't come from more rules, it comes from recognizing what drives your patterns. And that is why I created a free quiz called What Type of Emotional Eater Are You? It just takes 2 minutes and it will help you understand your specific patterns around food and emotions so that you can create the right healing approach for you. Because when you understand your unique triggers and patterns, you can build your personal strategies that actually work. Take the quiz down in the description below, it's completely free and you will get your results instantly. And if this video gave you hope that food trust is possible, please hit that like and subscribe button, maybe even the bell, and drop a comment and let me know what is one food that you would love to trust yourself around again. Remember, you were born knowing how to eat, and that wisdom is still inside you. It's just waiting for you to remember and how to listen. So lots of love, and I will see you in the next video.